Hi everyone. I recorded the following video in July of 2023, and it actually takes place before my 4 most recent uploads. Now, you're probably thinking, why would I wait to upload this? Well, as you can probably tell from the title, things don't go so well. So I decided to upload some good videos first and then tack this on at the end. And when I say things don't go so well, they go poorly to the extent that not only did I not accomplish my goal, but I don't feel as though the footage from the day tells the full story about what really happened. So, this video is going to be a sort of retrospective look at what happened while I provide context and any necessary information. The story starts last spring, when a friend of mine approached me with an idea for a 4-week trip through Latin America, eventually parting ways in Buenos Aires. I loved the idea and asked him if it was okay if I shot some videos along the way. He said he didn't mind at all, just as long as he wasn't in them. So I started plotting. In the weeks between my friend coming up with this idea and us departing the US, I came up with some video ideas, such as entering Bolivia on our non-US passports, something involving Patagonia, and crossing Panama on a bicycle. Now, I ended up convincing my friend to cross Panama with me on a bicycle, and fans of the channel know that these videos all came to fruition in one way or another, with some being more successful than others. Additionally, as we arrived in each new city, I planned on getting a feel for the place and trying to figure out if there was maybe a video worth doing there. With this plan in place, we flew to Panama City the evening before our bicycle journey, grabbed some Mexican food, and prepared for our journey the next day. Again, if you're a fan of the channel, you know how this went. It was a beautiful experience cycling through the Panamanian countryside until an aggressive driver ran my friend off the road. The police advised us not to continue, and of course, shattered from the experience, we returned to Panama City, just thankful that nothing worse had happened. We grabbed a few drinks, then explored the city the next day up until either the Mexican food or the raw egg white from a pisco sour caught up with my friend, hitting him with food poisoning. He was pretty much out of commission the next few days as we flew to Quito and obviously had a challenging time seeing the place. After a few days of not seeing a whole lot in Quito, I came up with a video idea. I decided I was going to walk to the Equator. I inspected the route online to make sure it was walkable and there wouldn't be any unexpected hurdles, as I usually have pretty terrible phone signal outside of most of North America, which makes it a bit of a challenge if I ever need to completely change a route. But the route seemed walkable, so on our last day in Quito, I set out to walk to the Equator, while my friend was going to wait until I got close, then hop in an Uber to meet me there. So, with that, I leave you at the beginning of the journey. Hello everyone, I'm currently in Independence Square in the center of Quito, Ecuador, sitting just in front of the Carandela Palace, which is the seat of the Ecuadorian government. And today I'm going to be walking from here in the center of Quito all the way up to the equator. Now, the equator, according to Google Maps, is 17.5 miles north of my current location here in Independence Square. And to walk you through that route, I'm going to turn it over to the voiceover. The route was simple. Starting from Carandela Palace in Quito's historic center, I would walk north through the city, and after 17.5 miles or 28.1 kilometers, I would arrive at Middle of the World City, the small complex where the monument marking the equator is located. However, the monument closes at 5 p.m. on weekdays, which is when I happened to be doing this. It was already just after 10 a.m., which meant while I had time, the clock was ticking. Alright, with that, it is time to head out. Problem, straight from the get-go, with Quito being in the Andes, there's a lot of very large streets that have absolutely insane inclines. Just a few minutes into the day, I passed by one of the most iconic buildings in Ecuador, the Basilica of the National Vow. Ground broke on the basilica in 1892, and the building is technically still unfinished. Local legend actually says the world will end once the basilica is completed. Not much of note happened for a while after this, but I did get some nice footage of Quito.
Miles in, 11 and a half to go. Right now, I'm looking for snacks that I can bring with me because I don't want to spend the time sitting down in a restaurant eating because I really can't gauge how I'm doing on time because I don't really think I'm doing fantastic on time. Let's just walk and see what happens. I don't think I'm doing amazing on time, like always. And with granola bars or something like that, I can just eat as I go along. I can stop if I need to take a break for a couple minutes, but that is the idea. Get something to snack on as I go. But everywhere really only seems to have chips. I need something a little healthier than that. Just as I finished saying all that, I found a supermarket. Fun update, I hit a part on the main road where it was impassable on both sides. I could try to run in the road until the sidewalk begins again, but that seemed like a death sentence. So my plan right now is to walk down this street and try to see if it lets out further down the main road where there will hopefully be a sidewalk again. If not, not sure what the... that way appears to be a dead end, but there's a gap in the fence right here that I'm going through in the hopes that it leads somewhere along the main road. This is almost definitely trespassing.
It was trespassing, just not on somebody's land like I assumed. Instead, it was a military reserve, which had a sign posted outside a different part of the reserve saying, "Restricted area. Do not cross this limit. It is illegal to enter this area. Danger. In case of unauthorized entry, lethal force will be used." But I didn't know this at the time.
Pick up the pace before anyone sees me. Thing is, I'm not sure how this happened. I checked the route multiple times. There was a sidewalk along this road, but my assumption is, at least my leading theory, is that there just happened to be sidewalks in the parts that I checked. And, you know, usually in my head, that's good enough. That means the route works. If there's little surprises on the way where it's kind of hard to pass, it's usually funny, so I don't mind it. Ooh. Okay, this is what I'm looking at right now. It doesn't appear to be heading back to the main road. It does not appear to be heading anywhere, really. I just hope no one finds me.
At this point, I figured the path didn't really lead anywhere, so I decided to turn back around.
I have enough signal to load up this road on the default map view on Google Maps. I usually use satellite view because I can see little bits of pathway coming off places, but at least in the default view, this just appears to circle around in some woods for a while. Doesn't help me get anywhere. I need to think about what to do. Also, I eventually noticed a barbed wire fence. I guess there was a barbed wire fence right here too. I noticed a barbed wire fence. Oh, hi dog. Whoa.
So I rushed down the stairs to meet my friend so he could see the monument too. Then we took off in his Uber down the street to check out the other equators before heading back into Quito. At this point, the Antinian Solar Museum was closed, so we pulled into the next parking lot after the museum to show the Google equator.
This A isn't getting me anywhere, and B, I definitely shouldn't be here, so. What to do? Walk back over the really safe pedestrian crossing. Hey, my priorities have now shifted. I need to get undercover, because I don't know if you can see in the camera, but it's starting to rain. And I'm not going to be able to think properly if I'm just getting drenched. I'm almost not going to be able to use my phone, figure out what to do if I'm just getting drenched. So, looking for a restaurant or something I can just sit at and plot. Hola? Hola?
I sat down to assess my situation and walk you all through my thinking. However, I did it in a rather unclear manner. So I'm going to be cutting away and using the voiceover to make it all a bit more clear. It was 3:32 in the afternoon, which meant I only had an hour and 28 minutes left to get to the Equator Monument. I still had 7.4 miles to walk. I had already done 10.1 miles in about 5 hours and 15 minutes, meaning I was walking at a pace of 1.92 miles per hour. For context, most estimates I've seen for a person's average walking speed are around 3 miles per hour. My average on Strava is 2.94 miles per hour. Even in the video where I walked from Boston to Providence, giving myself blisters and tendinitis, I averaged 2.75 miles per hour the first day and 2.41 miles per hour the second day. And that includes time spent sitting, enjoying meals, and applying bandages. At my current pace of 1.92 miles per hour, with 7.4 miles still to go, it would be another 3 hours and 51 minutes to get to the Equator Monument via the original route, arriving 2 hours and 23 minutes after it closed. All possible alternate routes I could find were 10 plus miles in length, meaning at my current pace I would arrive no sooner than 5 hours and 12 minutes from then, 3 hours and 44 minutes after the monument closed. It was clear that making it on foot was no longer possible, and the sidewalk ending just gave me the opportunity to do the math sooner. So, with my friend and I still wanting to go see the Equator, and with the local bus being estimated to take 45 minutes to an hour to get me there, I called an Uber and gave my friend the green light to go ahead and call his Uber so we could meet at the Equator. Seconds after hopping in the Uber, I finally noticed the large sign overlooking the street I'd gone down saying, Military Reserve. Then, a few seconds later, I noticed the sign saying, Lethal force would be used against trespassers. But from there, I was able to sit back and enjoy the ride to the Equator.
here. I'm getting wet. Awesome. Now I'm waiting on a friend to show up, and in the meantime I will try to get to the Equator Monument. There it is. Crossed it. Sort of. Welcome to what was once believed to be the equator. The actual equator is 250 meters that way, but it is on a public street and the monument closes in 20 minutes. So came to the monument first.
As I just mentioned, the monument marking the equator isn't on the actual equator. When the monument was built, the site was believed to be the equator, but as technology improved, it was discovered that the equator was actually here, at the Intinyan Solar Museum, which houses several equator-related activities and knickknacks. Additionally, just to add one extra layer to this, Google Maps puts the actual equator here, cutting across the street in front of the museum.
It looks like there's people up there, so might as well try to... what time is that? See, the problem is, this place closes in 20 minutes. My friend gets here in 10, and I have his ticket. I'll go really fast. Really, really fast. I'm here at the top of the Equator Monument, and it's now time to head to the actual equator.
So I rushed down the stairs to meet my friend so he could see the monument too. Then we took off in his Uber down the street to check out the other equators before heading back into Quito. At this point, the Intinyan Solar Museum was closed, so we pulled into the next parking lot after the museum to show the Google equator.
Alright, right over here is the location of the Museum for the Equator. That, as I mentioned, also is not the actual equator. As I mentioned, the actual equator is right about there in the street. And I'm not going to go run out into the street because there are lots of cars coming around a blind corner. So I'm not going to do that. But there we are. Made it to the equator. Did not walk the whole way. Walked an embarrassingly short distance compared to what I set out to do. But that's life. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time.
In the end, the video fell apart largely due to two things: lack of a sidewalk and lack of speed. Looking at Google Maps after recording the video, it actually became clear that I did check the area for walkability and saw what looked like a pedestrian path, street access, and a bus stop. I just wasn't aware that this was all part of a military reserve. Then, regarding speed, the only explanation I can really think of for why my pace was so slow compared to every other example of me walking that I have would be the altitude. According to the World Economic Forum, Quito is actually the second highest population center of over 1 million people in the world, which obviously affects physical ability. Also, while we're still on stuff that went wrong, while I was editing the video this week, I went to look at the location data for this clip and noticed something interesting. Instead of pulling into the parking lot immediately after the Intinyan Museum, we pulled into the parking lot immediately after the side entrance to the Intinyan Museum here. Meaning, we never actually crossed the equator. And I've only just found this out months afterward. So, of course, going forward, there are lessons to be learned here. I now know to be more vigilant when looking for restricted areas on a route, and I know to take altitude into consideration when in a mountainous area. While this experience was unsuccessful, it really doesn't change my overall approach to the videos. I could be overly cautious and plan out every single detail, but it wouldn't be as interesting. If I'd had the time to sit down and plan out the Ecuador video, then I wouldn't have gotten to have the experience that I did, the experience that you all just saw. because I likely would have eventually realized what I was walking into and not attempted this and missed out on the experience. I wouldn't have had half the experiences I've had on this channel if I were going into these videos thinking rationally. Sometimes things work out and sometimes they don't. Though, even when they don't work out, they're often at least a good, if not funny, experience. While there are lessons to be learned here, this for sure won't be the last time I get in over my head on this channel. So, with that, thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time.